Have you noticed today how just by sitting here, being here, remaining here, doing nothing, all of the noise and chaos and energetic stirring that was going on in the beginning has just dissipated? Has it also settled inside you? Look. Can you say, yes, it's settled now? So what came first? Did everything need to settle on the outside around you? Or did you eventually just give up your resistance and settle? And then everything around you settled? This is only possible because the ground of being is naturally peaceful, naturally silent. This is why we spend our time always trying to control the externals. We are always struggling. We're always trying to get things just right so that we can relax, feel at home. We are trying to change the environment, change the people around us, change our minds, change our emotions. We're always trying to find some secret key that will allow us to access this peace that we know intuitionally is there. But most of you know by now that this doesn't work. It may work temporarily, of course. If the mind is really busy, as an example, and you regulate the breathing, you slow it down, focus on some aspect of the breathing, the in-breath, the out-breath, the natural flow of things. After a period of time, there's a natural slowing down that happens in the mind. And you feel some relief from these thoughts and emotions that are troubling you. But as soon as some strong thought or strong emotion comes, or just some lack of attention, for a few moments, the thoughts come in again. They just take over again. So it can be seen very easily that every form of external control, manipulation, and so on, whether it's in the environment or in the internal environment, is only a temporary fix. As soon as concentration is let go on that temporary fix, the thoughts, emotions, and conditioning that was there before returns again. And this is the most common question I probably get in satsang, is why is it that I can have these periods of deep peace, deep recognition, deep understanding? And then these samskaras, this conditioning, returns again. If you observe your own experience, you will see that what you are attempting to do is to control your internal environment or your external environment in some way to give yourself that sense of peace and joy and calm that you know you have. But these external controls just won't work. And by external, of course, you can see I'm meaning both in the environment and external to the awareness of being consciousness. From the recognition of being consciousness, what is happening in the mind is also external. What is happening in the emotions, in the thinking processes, is also external. So as you let yourself settle in these periods of silence, which I hopefully you undertake on a regular basis, what you can see is that you have to keep falling back through your experience. So there's an experience in the world which is happening with your job, with your external environment. And in order for you, in the beginning, to know the truth of your own being, in some way you have to be able to pull back from that. I'm not saying you have to leave your job. I'm saying you have to have a way, you have to know a way, to be able to withdraw the attention from what is most pressing for you when you have the opportunity to fall back into your own interior space. With some observation of this interior space, you start to notice directly something is aware here. And not just aware of the thought, not just aware of the emotion, but also aware of itself. Once you make this connection, it becomes increasingly clear to you that everything in thought and emotion is external to that which is observing or witnessing what is happening. It is internal in relation to sensations in the body. It's internal in relation to the emotions which are passing through the heart. And it's internal to the thoughts which are passing through the mind. Once you've noticed this, by assuming the witness position, which is what we really do when we sit for a longer period of time, just being willing to completely let go, first of world, then of body, then of mind and emotion. We just are waiting, we are just sitting, we are just relaxing. We are asking ourselves, what is here before all of this? Before long, it becomes possible to notice sound, light, color, bodies, thought, emotion, sensations in the body, feel as though it is a river flowing by. And that which is aware is simply sitting on the bank, noticing everything that is coming and going. And so it's said in the traditions to remain as the witness. Right now, you are here as the witness. You are aware of everything that is going on here. You are aware of the space you're in. You're aware of my voice. You're aware of the noise coming from outside. You're aware of the sensations in your own body. You are aware of the thoughts which are in your mind. Maybe you are interested in something that's being said. Maybe you are just bored. Both are mind states. And all is okay. If you are witnessing from the bank of the river of consciousness, then whatever is here is fine. It's just flowing by. By that I mean, you recognize within your own being, whatever I perceive is temporary. Whatever is witnessed is temporary. It's impermanent. It's flowing by. With this sense of recognition comes a deeper sense of relaxation. The sense of annoyance that you may have felt previously towards sound, sensation, thoughts, and so on begins to diminish. The need to control the externals in your world, in your mind, in your heart begins to diminish. Suddenly, there's a recognition, everything is passing. Because I know this, I relax and wait. What is here now will not be here in a moment. What is here now will not be here in a day. It will not be here in a week. It will not be here in a year. It will not be here in 10 years. Whatever the time that seems to pass, whatever is here now, will be gone. Including this sense of me and this body. Everything will pass. Knowing that and confronting that directly, you can ask yourself, is there something that remains? You can search through all of your experiences for something that will remain, or something that gives life and gives voice to all of your experience. What is that? Is it the circumstances of the body, mind, and the world? Or is there some deeper inner knowing that I am? that gives rise to the ability in the waking state or the dreaming state to know anything at all? Is there something without which knowing all of this is not possible? This is the foundation of inquiry. This question, who am I? What am I? What is aware here now, in this moment? It's not until you pass through these layers, which are referred to traditionally as veils, and come to this place of recognition that there is something here which is aware and bearing witness to all that is passing in body, mind, and world, sensation, thoughts, emotion. There is something which is aware before all of these experiences. And you are willing to ask the question, what is that? Or, who am I? This is not the end of spiritual life. This is the beginning of it. The indication is that you have passed through all of these various veils. You have seen the truth of them, that they are not real, that they are impermanent. They are always passing. And you know from your own experience, not because I've told you, but from your own experience, that there is nothing satisfactory in any of these experiences. And it may be temporarily satisfactory, but the reason it's not permanently satisfactory is because you have learned through your own experience it will not last. And the attempt to get these experiences to last or to stay, or the feeling of perpetual peace, calm, bliss, and joy to stay, you will know from your own experience that the attempt to do that through all of these different realms of experience is the source and the cause of a great deal of suffering for you. But having seen there is something which is the witness to all of this movement, to this entire movie, you become more and more willing to let go of what's passing by and to turn your attention through the inquiry, through the question, who am I, what is aware here? You become more and more willing and more satisfied even to keep asking, what is it which is aware here now? There comes this recognition that in all of the experiences, through all of the veils, external world, body, sensation, mind, samskaras, through all of it, only one thing is always there. And it's not in the changing experiences. It's in what doesn't move. So then the question can be asked, what is it that is not moving? If I am not all of this movement through all of these veils, what is it that does not move? What is always here? What has been here since your first breath and will be here until your last breath, experienced in the waking state as consciousness itself. This consciousness, this awareness, is the unborn, undying. It is what is here in you, and you, you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. It is what is before all of our personal stories. This recognition, I am. It is that which unifies everything and brings us into the direct perception that all of this is somehow myself. And this self is unborn and undying. Bodies may come and go. The experiences may come and go. But this, which is aware here, now, without past, without future, even without present, just simply here, without a need to interpret it, that is eternal and manifests itself over and over and over. And we know it most directly as life itself. Bhagavan Ramana called it the self. Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar called it the Father. The world's religions call it God. The name we use for it is really not as important as the recognition that there is this eternal being, consciousness, which is always here, coming and going in the appearance of the phenomenon. We have an opportunity through our questioning, through the use of the inquiry, to ask, what does not change? What does not move? Show me that. Now, the question it's important for you to ask yourself is, are you really willing to do that? Knowing that it means the end of you. This is an important question. When I say it means the end of you, I don't mean that because you wake up you will die. This doesn't make any sense. The sages have been here for thousands of years. They're coming and going always. And they clearly did not die when they woke up. So what's being pointed to here is that the you of personality dies. So ask yourself, is this really what I want? Are you here to reinforce this sense of personhood? Or are you here for truth? If the truth is only being consciousness exists, and all of this is that. If that is the truth, then this you, which is pursuing that, should recognize now that you are bringing it to an end. Many of us started our quest because we became disgusted in some way with the life we were living, with our personality, with our quirks, with our faults and foibles. And so we set out, in a way, on this construction project to make ourselves into a better me. And you may be doing that. It's a valid place to start. It's where most people start. I want to be a better version of me. But if you have come to this point, then recognize there is no me now. You can end the construction project. To end the construction project, you must be willing to be here now. Witness to who you think you are, but now realize you are not. And you can ask this question in a very deep and profound way. Then who am I? I am no longer under construction. Now what? I have come to the end of my seeking. Now who am I? With the full knowledge that this I is the supreme I. It is not the me that was under construction before. That all of that must be let go. The whole project must come tumbling down. And then the possibility of penetrating through into the conscious awareness which you already are and which is already here, closer than your own breath, becomes evident. That possibility is here, now. In the most direct way to understand the nature of yourself as being consciousness, the Supreme Self, is to stop everything, all your seeking. Now what is here? If you stop your seeking, do you disappear? Is everything gone? If you have no reference point in the body, in the mind, in the personality, your reference point is I am aware in this moment, here now. If that's your reference point, then the possibility is here now for you to realize the truth of your own nature fully. So end the project now. Know yourself as being consciousness and bliss. Just keep letting go. And live whatever is in front of you now. This moment has everything you need. As soon as you recognize, I cannot go forward from here. I cannot go back. I cannot even remain the same. Then you have the opportunity to penetrate into what is the truth of your own nature as being consciousness and bliss. So do it now. Don't waste another minute, another moment. Concerned with the past, worried about the future, trying to construct the perfect present. Be here in this moment and see what unfolds, if anything. And know in your heart, in your deep, deep heart of compassion and love, that whatever unfolds is not you. Don't claim anything. What is here when there is no me? All right, does someone have something they'd like to talk about today? Question, comment, experience from last time, from what we shared last time?
Well, actually, you just talked about this. But yesterday, I read that the mind is not real, and then it struck me that okay, if it's not real, then who is or what is that wondering this or asking this very question?
Yeah.
And yeah, ever since yesterday, I think it's one of the most strongest questions ever inside me, and I really want to know what's that asking this question. I'm not really sure anymore. Is it a question or a command that you find this out?
Very good. Yes. That is the answer to the response to your comment. It is not a question. It is the impulse to find the self. You know, we start somewhere. When we aren't living in this recognition of being consciousness, we start somewhere. And so, at some point, this question, as you experienced yesterday, it rises on its own in some way, and it rises with a great deal of force. All we can really say about this is open to it, open to this open-ended question. The way this is often described is that when this question rises, is like stirring a fire with a stick. We just keep the intensity of this inquiry going, and just like the stick that's stirring the fire, eventually the stick also burns up. All other questions lead to this one. This one leads to truth. Remember that whenever this question rises in you, however, that this can be co-opted by the mind. In other words, it can become a mental pursuit. So, in order to succeed, this question, this deep longing that's coming, has to be left as an open-ended question. One where there's a recognition there is no answer. for the mind to comprehend. This answer cannot be comprehended by the mind. It's beyond mind. It's before mind. It's penetrated through mind. Right? So always remember that this question, when it's rising, seems to occur to the mind, but it's actually rising in the heart. So remember to remain open. Almost, you can say, on the knee of listening. So I am like this. Aha, yes. You know this image of a cat sitting at the hole of a mouse and watching? Yes? You all know this image? How intently a cat can sit when it has seen something move inside a hole. It's not thinking. It's not planning. It's just watching. It's just listening. So this is the attitude.
Thank you.
Someone that I once sat with for a long time, well, not for a really long time, but long enough, his main instruction was that we always remain on the knee of listening, and one day we will hear. So this is a very important pointer, isn't it? Because otherwise we are listening with the mind all the time, looking for some answer, some strategy, some understanding. But it's only in the actual listening, watching, observing, witnessing. It's only in this position that eventually something will open and true understanding will come. Paradoxically, this usually only happens when all of our strategies have failed. So if you still have some strategies going on, and the mind is still insisting that it needs to understand something, and it needs to understand how this process is happening, and where it's heading, and what it will mean. So if all that strategizing is still going on, understand that as soon as you begin to see that failing, moment to moment, and every way you try to go, every direction you try to turn, you hit failure, then start to rejoice because you're getting close. And you will go through the despair of failing over and over, of thinking you will never get there, that you have been forsaken in some way. There's ample opportunity in all of the traditions to see examples of the times that sages and saints have attempted and failed, and then recognized only through some further collapse of the ego that something new has opened. There is more space, more understanding. Not through the mind, but through actually dropping the mind, that a deeper understanding of truth can come.
I believe I'm still in that construction.
Yeah.
And, about this collapsing, when I'm here sitting a lot, I have very intense dreams, full of emotions. It feels like all the emotions and wondering and thinking I'm not having when I'm awake. I have them when I'm dreaming. And quite often it's just emotions, positive emotions. But most often it's just horrible. My deepest fears and all that stuff. This is my experience right now.
Yes.
And experience of coming here for 1 week or 1 month, or even if I go somewhere else or being silent. After that, my life collapses. So the deepest crisis of my 5 years happens always after going back to the place where I live. And I always take it as challenge, and I always feel that I fail because they are strong, so strong experiences, mostly emotionally. That I feel that I lose everything that I built here or anywhere else.
Yes.
And I have to come back here to see that I haven't lost everything, but
Yeah, this is a difficult process, no?
yes.
Yeah. I want to say one thing right off the top. Understand that you have a very strong natural ability to concentrate. I don't know where this came from, why you in this life you can concentrate. So in the waking state, if you are here, if you are on retreat, if you are meditating regularly, you have a natural concentration. But in your case, this may be one of the strongest veils you face. The reason I say that is because what's not being integrated during the waking state is manifesting in the dream state. This can often come because a person has a very strong natural ability, maybe cultivated over lifetimes, to concentrate during the waking state. And this keeps all of the unwanted emotions and so on away. But they bleed through into the dream state. Let me ask you this. When these dreams are there, even the most horrible dreams, and you wake up from them into the waking state, how long does it take you to know that was a dream?
Less than a second.
Yeah, instantly, right? As soon as you come into the waking state, it's obvious that was a dream. So the heart may still be pounding, or the emotions may still, the hormones or whatever from the emotions may still be present in the body for some period of time. But the recognition that was a dream, it was not real. That's the recognition it was a dream. The recognition is really that was not real. This happens instantly. Now, at that moment, you're still lying on the bed. You can ask, what is aware now? There was something aware of that dream. Where did it go? You see, what was aware of that dream and those emotions and that unreal state is also what's aware now in this moment on the bed, that I am here in the waking state. So pull the attention away from the dream, the difficulty, the emotion, the question, what was that and what does it mean? And does it have any value and should I pay any attention to it? Drop all of that. Bringing all of the attention in that moment to say, what was aware then is aware now. What is this awareness? Look for the source of the awareness. When the source of awareness in the waking state is found, the state of the awareness which is present in the dream state is the same awareness. It's also recognized. It's also recognized to be that which is aware in the deep sleep state. This awareness was present when there was no waking state, when there was no dream state. The reason I know this, you know this, is because if you go through the dream state and say, what was it? How was it before I entered the dream state? There's an immediate recognition, oh, I was sleeping and I was sleeping well and it was quiet. So what you can see from that is that consciousness itself, or awareness itself, which is not being funneled through an I, through a me position, was not aware of itself in deep state, but it was still aware that the sleep was pleasant. I slept well. Then it moved into the dream state. It was agitated. Some difficulty was there, but the awareness was still there. And as soon as it moved into the waking state, there's an immediate recognition that that was not real. This is the very same recognition that happens when you fully awaken to yourself as being consciousness. It's exactly the same. There's a recognition, full, complete, without any doubt, that everything that is happening in the waking state is unreal. It's an untruth. The truth is the stillness behind it. The stillness which is present in the deep sleep state, in the dream state, in the waking state. And it's recognized immediately that even the waking state is temporary and passing. And there is something that is there, standing, the foundation on which the waking state is standing. And that is being consciousness. So this is what happens in the moment of the recognition of the truth of your own nature. The very same recognition that was a dream, but now it's about the waking state. And from that moment on, the waking state is also known to be a dream. You can still play in it because you're conscious now, you see. You can no problem playing in it.
Can you help me better understand? You said at the beginning that concentration can be a problem.
Okay, so don't make it into a problem.
You used a different word.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did use a different word. The reason I used a different word, let me say this to all of you, is because there is a tendency in all of us for some period of time to look at the things that rise in our sadhana and to define them as a problem. And this is a misdirection by the mind. If I have a problem, I have something to work on. So please don't define this natural and beneficial ability to concentrate very deeply as a problem. It's not. Rather, be willing to have those things which are manifesting in the dream state because they cannot find an opening through this strong concentration during the waking state. A willingness to not face them, not work with them, but rather just to be able to see them during the waking state as well. If they need to come up, they will. In your daily life, in your waking state, do you have a tendency to choose activities and work and so on that keeps you tightly focused? What kind of work do you do?
Organizing.
So yes, this requires a tight focus. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. This is what I mean by concentration. So this concentration is actually quite a benefit in your life, in your waking life, right? The waking state. So I don't want you at all to think it's a problem. It provides a great deal of benefit for you, just in terms of your everyday life. But do understand that when you have that kind of intense focus, there's not much time for what we might call reverie. And so if you you leave your job, you leave IT, and you go home and you start to meditate, or you come on a trip and what you do is you spend all of your time meditating, there's no time for just being, because there's always a doer present. Yes? There has to be this sense of doership present just to focus the mind and be able to meet schedules and hit targets and be able to do the work that you do. So there's a kind of concentration which is necessary, but it doesn't allow for the open space, we can say, that may be leading through into your dreams, that needs an avenue, that wants your attention, that wants you to understand something, what is kind of going on behind the scenes in the waking state. When you are doing your work and you're highly concentrated in meditation, how do you deal with the intrusions, thoughts that are more of an emotional nature like you're getting in your dreams? How do you deal with them in that moment? What do you do?
When I realize them, I just move my attention back towards its source.
Good, continue that. Can you do that by how? You ask the question, who is having this experience, or you don't need it?
There are some cases when I just don't know what to do, but mostly there's a flow of being.
Good.
And I manage to just...
Trust that. Trust that. And just understand that maybe there are some things that need to leak through into your dreams. Don't give them any more attention. Let them come, know that was a dream. Don't give it any more attention. Don't need to know what it is. Don't need to ask, am I avoiding something? Just that was a dream. Samskaras, when they manifest, the instruction is always know them to be some form of conditioning. Don't give them value. Turn toward the source. So your cycle seems to be somehow going between the dream state and the waking state, but the impulse to go toward the source is still there. Just keep going. Right? Don't make anything into a problem.
You mentioned there's a sense of doership.
Yes.
And quite often it's there because I feel like I'm doing things like out of muscle work. And sometimes it's a work and sometimes it's not. And I'm really interested to find the balance or the point between the two.
Then observe when it is not so much work. That's the time to really focus in some way on what is happening here, that at this moment I feel like it's not so much work. The tendency is always to look at the other side of it when it takes that muscular thing and to be more focused on what am I doing and how am I doing this and what's happening here. Not so much interest in that now. Take more interest in what is happening internally, in the mind, so on, when there is this sense of freedom. So I am just acting, and this acting is coming out of a sense of freedom, not a sense of doership. find out the characteristics or quality of that. Often in our work as sadhaks, what we are always doing is we are looking through our own mental inventory and seeing the places in which we focus in this particular way. We give meaning to that particular experience or that particular idea. And it's a very, very small thing. If we simply can change the perception in some small way so that we are not looking at that as though it's a problem, and rather looking for what is it that leads me to a greater sense of peace, greater sense of understanding, a greater sense of no doer is here. And we can just shift that perception just a little bit, a new opening will come. Along the way, we can use this technique of just shifting the perception from A to B as a way of understanding that we're using all of our experience in the service of this returning to the source. Ultimately, of course, we come to realize that perception only has the meaning that we give it. And ultimately, we have no interest in giving meaning to this perception or this perception. But along the way, this perception might be more valuable in terms of opening our heart, opening our mind, opening our experience than that perception. So along the way, we can do these small shifts in perception, and we learn that that small shift has somehow opened the heart a little bit. But ultimately we come to realize that all perception is subject to questioning. Is this real? Or what is real? The body-mind will always, through conditioning, tend toward some misunderstanding. Take misunderstanding, your mind, your perceptions, to be misunderstanding what is happening. Accept this. Don't fight with it. Just assume that you don't understand what's really going on at this moment. If you come from this place, then this possibility of shifting perception to something else is there. And this recognition that what is, without any judgment or commentary about what is being perceived, actually is the seed of truth. That is where truth resides. Here in this moment, as what is here, right now, in this moment. Not in my thoughts, not in my body, not in the sensations, not in my waking state, not in my dream state, not in the sleep state. Just this recognition of naked awareness here in this moment. And from that place or space, if you will, it's not a place or a space, right? It's a sense of being. Everything is knowable. When you need to know something, you know it. If you don't need to know it, you don't think about it. There's nobody here, not interested. The need to understand goes, the questioning goes. It's frightening. Until it isn't.
got a question. Question regarding awareness. More precisely, about the teaching of awareness. One of the greatest sages of modern times, Nisargadatta Maharaj, says that awareness cannot be aware of itself. It can be aware only of objects. And it seems to be a contradiction with the fact that the ultimate reality is being, consciousness, and bliss. If reality is consciousness, how cannot be conscious of itself?
He further said, that this sense of being or awareness or consciousness, he didn't use those two words necessarily interchangeably. He actually said consciousness was a manifestation, if you will, difficult word, of awareness itself, of naked awareness, as it comes through the body-mind complex. What we experience as I, that is I consciousness. So they aren't exactly the same thing, but there's such a small nuance there. The reason it can be said that awareness cannot be aware of itself, it can only be aware of the objects on the field of consciousness in the waking state or in the dream state. It's the same reason why it's so hard for words to explain what naked awareness is. And so we use words like being, pure being, or suchness in the Zen tradition, beingness. It's said it's not something you can see. It is only something you can be. And of course that isn't even accurate, is it? Because you is not there. When pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure being is what is here, there cannot be a you to observe it. Yes? There cannot be. By definition, pure beingness, pure awareness, can only see you as an object. You cannot turn around and see awareness itself. You cannot. This is why Bhagavan said, know firmly I exist. He said, know firmly you exist, but the meaning is I exist. Know this firmly. Again, this is the stick that is stirring the fire. If you repeatedly turn to the deep recognition, I exist, ultimately, existence itself takes over and the I disappears. Even the faintest hint of I disappears. Then what we are referring to as being, pure awareness, is simply standing forth, but it has no qualities. So how can you see something which has no qualities?
But it seems to be aware of itself. Very clearly, it seems to be aware of being, of existing.
Yes, I think it was Nisargadatta Maharaj who said the closest way of this, I may be mistaken here, but someone said the closest description to pure being is that which is aware that it is aware. So there is this element, right, of knowing. This is why sometimes in the scriptures it's said that the experience of awakening is not really an experience at all. It presents itself as a simple knowing, which is an active thing, right? It's not knowledge. It's not like you can acquire knowledge about how to do this or that. It's not that. It's a simple knowing. But if the sage is asked, what are you knowing? She says, I don't know. I'm just knowing. That's all that can be said about it. Beyond that, we are in the realm of pure knowing, pure being, where nothing can be said about it. And yet, the perception of knowing is there. And we say, it is not me that knows, there is simply knowing. But we can spend a long time trying to describe what this knowing is, and we do, yeah. We come time after time after time to satsang, and we sit and we hear the questions and we hear the doubts, we hear what is happening with everyone, and somehow this knowing is here, and we trust that. With the full knowledge that knowing is here. But one of the things about knowing is it convinces us and tells us completely there is no one here. Knowing is here. There is not a one here. In the space of being consciousness, there is knowing. What is clear is that does not require a me. It is here in its fullness. So the sense of you or me or other is unnecessary. This is what makes it false, right? Ordinary consciousness, ordinary thinking. This is why it's said, what you think is real is an illusion. What you think is an illusion is real. Because what is real cannot be described. Only what is unreal can be described. But it is being described by the real. And this is the dance of sages forever. This attempt to keep pointing your perceptions in a direction that will give you the willingness, the desire, if you will, to know what is real. Because the sages have said to you, yes, all of that is fine, but it is unreal. Yes, maybe you need to work that out in your life, in your mind, in your whatever, but it's all unreal. In the final analysis, only this awareness itself is real. And the reason it's said to be real is because it's here. It can't be described, right? It can't really even be understood with the mind, right? But if I say to you, are you aware? What do you say? So, we know it's here. No one says, ask, are you aware? No one says, no. Everyone says yes, instantly. So we cannot point to it, correct? This is what Nasigadhara, this is what he was pointing at. You can't point to it. You can't say, see your own awareness. You can't see it, but you can know it. Are you aware? Yes. So there's no debate. Even that which says awareness doesn't exist is saying so in the face of the obvious truth that awareness does exist. But we can't point to it. We can't use it as an object. And this is why he said awareness is just awareness itself. You cannot see it. You can only be it. You can only be this recognition, I am aware. And if you firmly hold there, if that's your foundation, then you will begin to see the way everything unfolds from within that, or in the space of that awareness. Even though you can't see, you become firmly convinced that nothing is happening here at all. Awareness is here, and everything is dancing. If you just dance the dance of your life without thinking you know anything about the steps of the dance, eventually you will trust. You will trust yourself. You will trust creation. You'll trust the truth which has brought you here completely. Hari Om Tat Sat.